I'm delighted to be joined by Dan Kilpatrick here on the set. Dan is ESPN FC Spurs writer. Dan, you take a look at it, and we've mentioned so much about the fact that there has been so little transfer activity.
Yeah.
Spurs, the only team not to bring anybody in over the summer. But it seems the way it's standing is that they're trying to keep hold of players more. Eric Dyer, of course, linked to a move to Manchester United once again. How confident can they be to keep hold of Dyer?
I think Spurs are very confident. If you speak to anyone at Spurs, they'll say Dyer's not for sale for any price whatsoever. I think if you look at it, though, Eric Dyer, he's probably not as good at holding midfield as Victor Wanyama. He's probably not as good at centre-back as Vertonghen or Alderweireld. And so 60 million quid, could they really say no to that? But ultimately, it would just be a really bad look to sell two England internationals to Manchester in the same summer to a rival. So I think it's almost more about perception than whether it would be a good deal or a bad deal for Spurs.
Well, on the flip side, in terms of bringing players in, I don't know. I get a chance to ask him, who knows what he would say, but when they signed Moussa Sissoko at the end, hijacking him from Everton, I thought to myself, man, what are you doing? This had like crazy, uncharacteristic, non-Daniel Levy type panic buy written all over it. Is that what it was? And we're not going to see a repeat of that again, are we?
I do wonder if Ross Barkley will be this summer's Sissoko, if Spurs will get a bit desperate and Everton will get a bit desperate, and that'll happen at the end of the window. I think Sissoko deal was a bit uncharacteristic. Pochettino always wanted a quick winger who could kind of break the line, is what he said, someone who was direct and speedy. And Sissoko was a kind of second choice to Wilfried Zaha, if you remember, last summer. So I don't think he was ever the club's main target. Whether that'll happen again, I think they probably learned from that deal, and they don't want to sign someone over 25. They don't want to sign someone for big money either, so it's more likely to be young players.
Sorry, that's one of the keys, because Barkley, even if you sign him and he's terrible, he's still English, he's still talented, and you're not going to pay a lot of money for him because he's got less than a year left, and you can always dump him on, like, no disrespect, a West Ham or somebody like that, and get most of your, or a Palace, and get your money back. You know, with Sissoko, obviously, you didn't necessarily have that option in the same way. I mean, does that play into it as well?
I think it does, yeah. And if you look at Pochettino's record with particularly English players, British players, particularly young players, Dyer, Kieran Trippier, Walker, who's just become the most expensive ever English player and most expensive ever defender. That was mostly Pochettino's work. He would really back himself to get hold of Barkley and improve him, which is what really hasn't happened at Everton. He's more or less stayed the same since he was 18, 19. I think Pochettino would say, right, I can coach him, I can make him a better player, I can make him a £30 million player if that's what we have to pay.
Sorry, Dan, in your opinion, what's Spurs' greatest need right now? And as much as you see Pochettino rightly so, have faith in a lot of youngsters coming through, kind of hinted very guardedly about players coming in. Has there been any rumours that somehow haven't made it onto social media that you know?
There's a couple. I mean, most of the rumours you've heard, they're definitely interested in Barkley, but at the moment I think wages are the problem. He wants over 100 grand a week, and they're not really prepared to pay that for a player who wouldn't start automatically. Juan Foth, the young Argentinian player, they were looking at him, but he's looking too expensive. Ricardo Pereira, the Porto fullback, they were looking at him as a replacement for Walker, but again, the club's saying, we just think he's too expensive. The problem with Tottenham is they won 11 of the last 12 games of last season. They don't really need to improve the first 11. What they need to do is improve the squad options. And it's very hard to say to a player, come and sit on the bench and be back up to Harry Kane. Not many players are going to do that.
Here's the thing as well, going forward, we obviously saw Kyle Walker move to Manchester City for that massive money move, doubling his wages pretty much in the process. It's very difficult if you're Spurs, isn't it, to try and keep hold with your star players when someone comes in to an offer like that. How much is their loyalty to Pochettino the reason why a lot of these players are staying?
I think that's the biggest factor, really. I mean, obviously, all the players are excited about the new stadium. They all are saying that, and I don't think it's kind of club PR. All the players believe they can win trophies here, but that's all coming from Pochettino. He's the guy who's improved them all. He's the guy that's instilled this winning mentality in the squad. He's made them hard to beat. He's made them play great football, and I think they feel fiercely loyal to him, and as if they can win things while he's still the manager. I think if he went, they would all look at themselves and say, well, I can be doubling or even trebling my wages at United or City, as you know, Eric Dyer might well be.